vacuum that you couldn't see until you're tall. All right. I'll just, there. Out of sight, out of mind. All right. Hello, everyone. I am Ross Murphy, and I'm going to be talking about the railroads when they transitioned from steam locomotives to diesel, why they did it, and why they could potentially switch back. So, in the early 1940s, America was in World War II, and during that time, there was heavy regulation on the usage of fuels and the usage of raw materials. So rather than building new locomotives, a lot of companies would upgrade what they had, or they'd use simplified designs. Now, come the end of the war, 1946, and what's new on the market are the first real commercially viable diesel locomotives, and the salespeople are very aggressive in pushing them. Now, they couldn't dominate the market yet, but for the first time, there was a viable replacement. Now, in 1946, something was run called the Steam versus Diesel trials on New York Central, and it's the reason that a picture that still stands in America when we think of trains, a steam locomotive like this, has become this, these gray machines that are nothing like the beauties that steam locomotives are. Now, the tests in 1946, this were run from New York to Philadelphia, and what they found was the cost of operation was almost identical and actually cheaper per horsepower on drawbar load for steam locomotives than diesels. These were very tight. However, 15 years later, these same steam locomotives were having mechanical problems. And the reason is simple. While steam locomotives cost a lot more to repair on those long terms, they need to be completely disassembled, and the parts that were failing were called firebox wrappers, metal that was used to hold in the heat and to hold the locomotive together. You had to take the whole thing apart, strip it down. It's a very expensive repair. These new diesels, you take them, you can just take them apart like they're a regular box or a car engine. So the maintenance cost was way lower. To build a unit, cheaper. To maintain it over time, cheaper. So the fact that it was a little weaker was okay by railroads. All of these advertisements, these are from the Lackawanna Railroad, and they were advertising the sole saving grace of steam locomotives at the time. These started way before diesels even showed up. All these were called the Phoebe Snow advertisements. They'd go things like, a cozy seat, a dainty treat, make Phoebe's happiness complete, with linen white and silver bright upon the road of anthracite. What this was is locomotives were burning what's called anthracite coal. Anthracite is a very hard coal. It burns very clean. That was their gimmick. Our coal burns clean, your clothes won't get dirty. And so all railroads were using that. But then oil came on the scene, and at the time, oil was a lot cheaper, or diesel, gasoline. Diesel fuel is technically what it was, but it's a derivative of oil, obviously. So the fuel was cheaper. The products were cheaper. Everything was cheaper. We had the test results. These are the tables, but I'm not going to read it to you because you're not interested in that. So fast forward to today. Obviously, we don't have steam locomotives running except for museum pieces and just publicity stunts. Why would steam locomotives come back? Answer is simple. Steam locomotives lost their traction because of expense. But biggest expense now is no longer in favor of diesels. Yes, maintenance on steam is more expensive. Yes, labor is more expensive. No, fuel is not more expensive. Oil prices are highly volatile, and they are extremely high. And one study I found said that the infrastructure to make all of these support steam again, to make all Class 1 railroads support steam, would be expensive. The cost of new units would be incredibly expensive. But they would save cumulatively $15 billion every year burning coal and not oil. And that is not a small amount of money. So what we've seen is that if the railroads look at this debt and if oil continues to be expensive, we might go from those dirty diesels back to a classic American symbol, steam locomotives. That's my presentation.